technical difficulties. With technology, you never really know what to expect. You never know what's happening with computers and internet connections. So we are back. And tonight, if you missed it before, we are going to be talking about career success and financial abundance. What you need to know if you're in that position, you got that W-2 job, how do you position yourself for success? How do you position yourself for financial abundance? Because you guys know I'm all about financial empowerment and making things happen. So, how do you go about doing that? And so, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jordan Campbell. She's a career and confidence coach, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Thank you so much. I am really happy to be here. Sorry about the tech glitch. But like you said, my name is Jordan Campbell. I'm a career and confidence coach, and I work with corporate professionals, 9-to-5 professionals looking to specifically pivot in their careers. So a lot of times we think, okay, we have to, stay in the same, role or even, company for a long time. I help people who are actually looking to either pivot out of the role they're in or really out of the company that they're in. Because obviously we don't quit jobs, we quit bosses. So that is me in a nutshell. I enjoy all of the fun things that people don't like, resumes and interview prep. But I also work on the mindset as well, because if your mind's not in it, then you're not in it. So
that's very interesting. Tell us a little bit about what you do on the mindset part and how your mindset can be affected and affect your ability to advance in your career.
Right. So mindset is really big. And to be honest, before I started coaching a few years ago, I wasn't into what, I guess, I don't know if you call it this, but I know a lot of coaches call it the woo-woo, that type of the mindset work. And I was kind of skeptical about it at first, but then I really dove deeper into it. And mindset just being how you perceive yourself in the world, in your career, even with your money, right? If you're always telling yourself you're broke, you're probably always going to be broke. But when it comes to mindset in your career, I find that a lot of us, especially women, right? Because we're in a women's empowerment, financial empowerment group. A lot of times women, we don't go for our highest potential in terms of we kind of undersell ourselves. Well, if we don't have, almost all of the check marks ticked off, all the boxes checked off, we're not going to apply for a job. Or we might, shrink ourselves in that, in whatever role that we're in. And that's because our mindset is telling us to kind of, take that back seat, don't be the loud one, don't be the pushy one, right? And so when it comes to mindset, you have to start working on, I'm not being pushy. I'm just telling them my opinion, or I'm not being loud. I am just passionate, right? Because when it's a man, they're passionate. When it's a woman, she's loud. So when it comes to mindset, you're just changing your viewpoint and your perspective on things.
Yes, that's so important because it's true. We as women, when we look at a job, you look at a job, qualification or job criteria and we won't go for the job if we don't check off, 90% of what's there. Whereas a man can check off, okay, 40%, and he will still apply for the job. Mm-hmm. So we do tend to undersell ourselves for sure. So talk to us a little bit about, the whole dynamic of how, if you're in a job right now, what are some of the things that you can do to cultivate that success?
So one of the bigger things you can do, I won't say biggest, but one of the bigger things you can do is really start to hone in on your network. Because a lot of people say your network is your net worth. And that's true to some degree in terms of your network should be people that are going to elevate you. They should be people that are going to help you in the long run. Not to say you can't, make your friends and do all that. But when it comes to mentors, when it comes to, people even they still have sponsors nowadays. When it comes to that, you really want to look for a group of people that are going to elevate you. And so, for example, if you're trying to move into a leadership role. Maybe that's a role that, has more money, but it also has more responsibility. What are you doing in terms of speaking to your mentor about becoming a leader, right? Because just because the money's right doesn't necessarily mean you're in that mindset of becoming a leader. Because again, we leave bad bosses, we don't leave bad jobs. So one, you want to make sure you're seeking out a mentor, you're networking, you're building those reps in, because a lot of times we don't even like networking. And then two, you need to make sure that you are looking at what you want to do in the future, and then you're taking steps specifically, and it's different for everyone because we are all different, taking those steps specifically to start honing in on skills you'll need, people you need to know, companies that you might want to work for, or if you want to stay in that company and just move up, that's fine as well. You're not going to see as much financial growth that way, but there can be other benefits that a lot of times we don't think about when it comes to jobs, such as, flexibility, 401k contributions, those type of things.
Right. So I think one of the things is all about making that transition. One of the things you mentioned was not having as much growth if you stick with one particular company. And that can be true most times, because a lot of times when you go to that next company, they might really understand what your value is and what you bring to the table versus the person that saw you growing up and progressing in your overall career.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about a woman's ability to make that shift and leap into a new position. So I know some of the women out there in the group, they're looking for new jobs because their current job is not valuing them, not giving them what they're worth. And right now we're in an environment, coming off of the Great Resignation, the lowest unemployment. We are in an environment where I think we have leverage. We have leverage going into new positions, whether it's into new jobs that we've never done before, or in new fields, new areas. So talk to us a little bit about how we can position ourselves for success given the current environment.
Great question. I think that we as women, we have to learn about value articulation. Basically, being able to speak on the skills that you currently have in a way that is desired in an industry. So you can say, I'm a great public speaker, I'm a great, communicator, but if that skill is not desired in your industry, in the industry you want to go into, that's great. It's great that you're a public speaker and you're a communicator, but that skill is not the most desired skill. So one, we need to figure out in terms of positioning what our skills are. Just like you can really just kind of, take that, write it on a piece of paper and just kind of brain dump that. What are your skills? You can ask, your colleagues or your friends, what skills do I have, if you don't know right off the top of your head. And then two, whatever your desired industry, or even desired role, we don't even have to go as big as industry, but whatever your desired role is, what are those skills that they're looking for? So if they are looking for, someone who can speak in public and someone who can articulate in that fashion, then that's skill matching. Easy. So now you've got a one to one. If they are looking for, let's say you're trying to get into tech and they're looking for coding skills, but you don't have that, then that's something that you either need to go and develop. And that's not like, you don't have to get a 4-year degree, but maybe a certificate or something, if that's the profession you want to get into, coding. Or you're going to have to do some sort of workaround where you're maybe in a less techie role. So like a project manager in tech, or sales in tech, right? Because everyone, sales is the shiny new thing. Everybody wants to be in that and what is it, AI? So everyone wants to be in sales, in tech and AI. And so if you aren't willing to go and get those skills, you can still get into whatever your desired industry is. You just have to kind of bob and weave a little bit in terms of positioning yourself in a way that makes sense. So you want to match your skill with the desired skills of that industry. And that's how you're going to articulate your value and also position yourself.
I like what you say about value articulation. And I think that's something that we often as women have difficulty doing. One of the things that I've heard in terms of tips is really logging what you call a brag book, something where you can clearly write down, because we go through and we accomplish all of these things, but we don't really keep track of it because that's just how we roll, right? We
Mhm.
just go and we just do things and we make it happen, and then we don't really track. Hey, here is accomplishment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we don't track those things, and we can't articulate the value that we bring to the table, although there
Mhm.
may be a lot of value that we bring to the table. So what are some of the things that we can do to enhance our ability to articulate the value that we bring to the table to increase our chances of getting more financial abundance in our careers?
Ooh, that's good. So, like you said, keep a brag book. I even still, I call it a brag book, right? I call, or humble brag book, whatever you want to call it. I still keep one, and it's just this like little. It's not even like the big, 11 or 8.5 by 11. It's a little journal, and I keep it in my drawer one so that when I, and this is gonna sound, but you got to either set yourself reminders or do this weekly because you're not going to remember. Um, I just pull it out, jot down like a bullet point. It doesn't have to be, sometimes we think it has to be this long dissertation. It does not. It could be one or two bullet points about what you did. Especially if you're like, dang, I'm not going to remember this specific part of it, then just write it down. If you know you're going to remember it, because you did it, of course, if you know you're going to remember it, write down the most, important aspect of your accomplishment in one or two bullet points, and then close the book back up and put it back in the drawer. It's really about tracking, and even I have to get better at tracking in terms of making sure that even if I think it's not like shiny or resume worthy, that I'm still putting it down in the book, because I never know if, when the next opportunity comes along, if that particular accomplishment or that particular skill is going to be worth it. And you really don't even have to do it a lot. I would say jot something down weekly, because you probably do something weekly, and just to keep it in the forefront of your mind. Because if you try to do it monthly, you're going to forget what you did, and then bi-weekly, again, you're going to forget what you did. And it doesn't have to be tedious, right? We want to make everything as simple and streamlined as possible. So write in that brag book. And then when it comes to articulating your value, so now that you've written it down shorthand or whatever you're going to do, when it comes to pulling it back out, it's as simple as going back to what we were talking about before. It's as simple as, what is my desired industry? What are they looking for? Go in my book. All right, what did I do? All right, they wanted this. Here's an example of where I did that. Here's an example of where I did that. And you just take all of that out and then tell it in a storytelling form. So if you guys haven't heard, so typically, let's say you're in an interview and you're trying to verbally articulate your value, you want to use an interview method like the SAR method or the STAR method. It doesn't really matter. CAR, all those acronyms. It's situation, action, result. So you want to take it from your brag book and then regurgitate it in a storytelling form, and that is how you're going to articulate your value through those accomplishments by storytelling.
Great. So that's definitely important to tell the story about, the value that we bring to the table. But one of the things that I think I've encountered in my career, and, I've had a pretty lengthy career, although I look very young, but I have had a lengthy career. And one of the things that I've noticed is that, and I don't know if that's part of what you provide in terms of being part of a career and confidence coach, is having the ability to negotiate. And being able to negotiate can make the world of difference, and not just accepting if they make you that offer that that's the number. Push back, even if you're like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what I wanted. Just ask for a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in your current job and you feel like you're doing so much, negotiate. Like right now, I'm going to tell you, it's a great time to be able to negotiate with people that are looking for, different employees. Granted, there are some layoffs, but unemployment is at the lowest it's been in a very, very long time. So you have some leverage. So if you're in a job and you feel like you are undervalued and you can articulate that value, as we've talked about, then the ability to negotiate is going to play a big role in your financial abundance, your ability to take on that new job and get a higher pay, your ability to get more pay in the job that you're currently in. So, talk to us a little bit about negotiation, because I think that's something that's often underplayed, but it's huge.
Right. So there's it. You kind of broke it up into two, so I'll do that. So there's negotiating at your current job, and there's negotiating when you're trying to get a new job. So at your current job, typically negotiations happen. On Let's start with this. So first and foremost, most of the time, your direct supervisor is not the one that is going to be saying is not the one that's going to be adding the zeros on your check. So when it comes to you negotiating for your, whether it be a raise in salary, or it could be, hey, can I get some more paid time off, PTO, or can I get some, an extra vacation day, maybe not even paid. It just depends. Or can, I get a stipend for travel or whatever it is. It's something you can negotiate. So you want to go in it with the mindset, not of, I do more work, so I should get paid more. Yes, from your perspective, yes, you do more work, you should get paid more. You have to think of it from their perspective of, you accomplish more, so therefore you get paid more. Because if you're doing more work, but it's it's just busy work, and busy work, then they're going to say, well, no, you can still just do the job of two people, it's just busy work, right? But when you come in with numbers and with facts and with, this is how I affect the bottom line, or how this is how I'm saving time, that is how you negotiate. You say, I have saved you guys, I've streamlined this process for you all, so that we can, be under budget. And I think during this, whatever quarterly review, this is my expectation for salary, or I have, made the company this much money. It's time for the review to come around. Now, boom, this is my salary expectation. You don't want to go in there like, obviously super cocky, because you don't want them to, be like, whoa, hold on. But you want to go in there confident about your number, because the number is not just like a random arbitrary number you want. You got to do some research. So what are the, like, almost like a realtor does for your house, right? What are the comps in your area? And so if you are making, let's say you're making $95,000, right? And you're doing the work of, someone that is making 120, but the comps in your area are 115. You can go in asking for 120, but then just be flexible enough to go from, 90 to 115, right? You want to be flexible enough to say, I wanted 120, but we'll work it out. If that's your prerogative. If it's not, and you want to say, hey, you're not valuing me, I'm done, cool. Then that's on you to whether you want to stay or go. When it comes to a new job, that's where you have the most leeway and the most fun, because you can go in there with, this is what I've done, this is my value, this is the starting rate that I want. And quick tip, if you always go just a smidge higher than you actually want, you can always just negotiate down to where you actually want it to be. And they think they've saved money, and you're like, yeah, you've saved money, it's fine. So if you want to be at, let's say you want to be at 115, and you're like, okay, well, 120 works for me. And they're like, how about 118? And you're like, oh, sold, right? So you do that. And so when it comes to negotiating, it's really just about what value can you bring, and what value can you show that you bring, to either, it's most of it is either bottom line or time, right? Because those are the two things. It's either money or, I won't say those are the two things, those are the only two things, but two big things when it comes to a profit, for-profit company, time and money. So how can you affect those two things?
That's great. So I've heard a few things that are helpful to either if you're transitioning and you're trying to get a position inside your current job or move up in your current workplace, or if you're in a brand new space, brand new industry, you got to be able to, bridge the gap if there's specific skills, right? And you also have to be able to leverage networking. Networking is important. Have the ability to negotiate and also have the ability to articulate your value. Did I recap that right?
Yes, that was
All right.
perfect. That's
So
great.
Jordan, tell the people a little bit about how they can work with you and the type of work that you do, and to help people reach that state of financial abundance in their careers.
Awesome. So there's a couple different ways that you can work with me. Right now I am taking one-on-one clients. So we would basically work together one-on-one. It's very personalized. We would work together on all the fun, shiny stuff. So your resume, interview skills, salary negotiation, but we're also going to be working on that mindset, making sure that you are going for roles that make sense, right? You're not going for mid-level roles when you're senior level, or you're not going for lower roles when you're C-suite. Like it doesn't make sense, and maybe that's how you feel, but that's how we're going to break through that. So I have one-on-one coaching. I also am putting together group coaching, which is always super fun because we get to ping pong ideas off of each other. And that's a great way to network as well. So that is the Career Goals Academy. And so that'll be a group coaching container where we'll do some of the same things, but it's more so of a group accountability factor versus just, you and I. So that's always fun. And then I also do, I don't do a lot of these, but I also do resume audits as well for those that are looking to level up their resume, especially if you're looking to pivot into an industry where you might not have so much direct experience. I can definitely help you figure that out. And so just to recap, because I like that you recapped. So I have the one-on-one, the Career Leap one-on-one package. I have the Career Goals Academy, which is putting together a group coaching. And then I also have the resume audits as well.
All right. So how can people get in touch with you, Jordan?
I am at Boss Life in Progress on Instagram, and I am also Jordan Campbell on LinkedIn. Instagram is the fun me, but if you would like to connect professionally, you can just find me at Jordan Campbell on LinkedIn, and then I believe you'll have the links in the descriptions of the videos as well.
There's a question for you. Do you have a website?
Yes, I do. It is very long, so I will.
You can put it in the comments. You want to put it in the comments when we break?
Yes.
Or in the private chat, I can put it.
Yes. Let me grab it.
Do you work with people, Jordan, who are transitioning into a brand new career, something that they've never done before?
Okay. Yep.
Great.
Yes, I do. So I just had a young lady. She worked in social services, and she wanted to get into what did she want to get into? Goodness gracious. Cloud computing. So we were speaking on her getting from social services to cloud computing. She was getting, her degree, but we talked about her even stepping into that role way before she even got her degree. So am I able to type in here?
In the private chat, yes, and then I can put it in the chat. I don't know if you can type directly in the chat.
Oh, okay. No, it's gonna ask me. I will type.
Okay.
because I don't want to swipe and
Right
then
now.
it
So
completely
we
kicks me
will
out of here.
put Jordan's information in the chat so that you guys can have it. You'll see her website, but you can contact her. She's on Facebook. She's on LinkedIn primarily. So you can contact her there. We're very happy to have you tonight. You guys need to go out there. Any last words, Jordan? Last piece of advice?
Yes. If you are looking to transition into a new career, pivot, or even just trying to like move up, and you really just need that guidance and that advice, that's ultimately what I'm here for. I'm just trying to help people build that confidence in themselves to actually take the leap. I know it's super difficult. It was when I've made 3 different changes at this point, and so it's definitely hard. And as a self-proclaimed introvert myself, it could be difficult for us introverts. So if you guys are really in need of someone helping you through that process, just hit me up.
All right, wonderful. And at least what I would say from a financial standpoint, it's always worth the risk to go and put yourself out there and articulate your value and have people understand your worth, because that's the way that you are going to boost your financial abundance in your career, is by standing up for yourself. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, nobody else will. And if they don't see your value, you just need to keep it moving. If you can't convince them of the value, keep it moving and go somewhere. Be patient, because sometimes it might take a couple moves for you to find that place where they really appreciate you and value you. But once you get to that perfect mix of value, then that definitely translates to financial abundance. All right, everybody. I am going to put, let me see if I can type that. Okay, we have, okay, perfect. We put Jordan's website in the chat. So thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. We will be on next week, or I will be on for a special, or the finale of our summer investing series, which is hot tips. If you missed any of the other ones, catch up with the replays in the financial empowerment community. But hot tips, the stock market's going up, from January to now. If you haven't capitalized on that, please do so. And I also want to announce that I am going to be launching an Empowered Women's Investing Circle. So it's going to be a small group membership, $97 a month, where we're going to talk about investing ideas and actually putting your money in action. So if you have that inertia that comes with, I don't know what I'm doing, we're going to, form that group where we can actually be out there and take advantage of the wealth building opportunities. So again, thank you, Jordan. It was great having you, and we'll see everybody next week. Good night.
Thank you.